So how are you doing? You are still in quarantine there? Have you take some time to leave the house or not?
Oh yeah, yeah. We can leave. We can leave the house. Where it's a little bit like it's still there's like limitations on how many people you can hang out with, but you can leave. So we were able to like I was able to go visit my brother this weekend in the same region of Canada. Like if we stay in the same province, can't cross borders. You
Yeah.
can't. You got to stay in the same area, and you can hook. You can hang out with one family. So we bubbled up with my brother's family. He's got two kids, like I have two kids too. So we could all get together and hang out. But that's pretty much the first of it. I
Yeah.
just had a coffee. Like I went out and got a coffee at a window. That's pretty new. All of that stuff is new, but it's I mean it's moving. It's starting to open up a little bit now. What about you?
Here, people are trying to calmly leave their homes for time to time for a little coffee, also, but it's still quite strange. I mean, I think no one can be used to this situation, right?
No, it's very odd. So were people in total lockdown in their house?
Yeah, we were in total lockdown for 2 months. Yeah.
Not even allowed onto your. Could you go outside? Like if you had a backyard, could you go to your backyard and that kind of thing? Yeah.
No, I mean, the main things that all people need, the supermarkets and stuff, they were open, but very with a lot of restrictions. But now some stores are opening, some restaurants, also with some
Okay. Yeah.
restrictions.
Restaurants you can get takeout, but no sitting down.
Now people can sit down, but there are, I don't know,
Okay.
less tables and less clients also because of that. But I was seeing some minutes ago your Spotify page, and you made a playlist with your quarantine songs. Despite the fact that that playlist is quite extensive and diverse in all the music that it has, are there other artists that you have been listening to?
I'm always listening to stuff. Like I listen to a lot of different. I have a radio show
Yeah. Yeah.
every week in Alberta, so I focused on Canadian music right now because before I used to play everything, but then I decided I should do Canadian music and just focus on that. And because especially because no Canadian tourists, they can't musicians can tour right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, at least I can support them this way. I listen to a lot of Canadian stuff. It's funny because actually last week I was all about the Spanish singer Jorge Drexler. I think he's actually from Uruguay, but he might live in Spain now. And he's great. He's made records for like 20 years.
Okay.
It's kind of like a week to week thing. I get really into something. I love that new Bill Frisell record that was put out. Love that Krongbin stuff. I've been listening to that a lot. I'm always listening,
Yeah.
always discovering new stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of great Canadian stuff.
What is for you the Canadian album that every person in the world should listen and know about?
The last year, there was a couple that I really liked, actually. I really like this guy named Leif Volbeck.
Okay.
He's from Montreal, Leif Volbeck. It's a really cool record. I really like, it's funny because it's once you get down to really thinking about it, it's hard to focus in. Obviously Daniel Caesar, I don't know if you know Daniel Caesar, big R&B star. He's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. Alexander Strelinsky, it's a solo piano record. It's super good. It's on that playlist. It's the first song on that playlist.
Yeah. I heard it.
And it's a beautiful record. There's lots of good stuff. French stuff. There's some great French Canadian stuff.
And you also performed in French in a beautiful album.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah. Well, Quebec is filled with great musicians, great studios, really good culture.
Yeah.
Louis Jean Cormier is amazing. And then on the international front, the record that I've been digging really hard is that Laura Marling. I love Laura Marling from England.
Okay.
That record she's amazing to me. I think that's really good. So it's new stuff all the time. There's this record by a woman named Looney, who's from Toronto, brand new, just coming out, Loony. and I think it's really good. I wouldn't be surprised if it became quite a big record. It's cool.
Okay, I have to listen to it. And what about Portuguese music? Do you know anything of Portuguese music?
A little bit. I do know. Like, it's funny because it's funny. I know a lot of Portuguese speaking, like as in Portuguese language from Brazil.
Oh yeah,
Tons of Brazilian music. I know lots of Brazilian music. I'm totally into Brazilian music. You know, Caetano Veloso is one of my heroes. Jorge Ben, all of that stuff is, you know, I really dig it. It's one of my main influences. Portuguese stuff I know less, except that I just started getting into fado, like traditional. That's what it's called, right? The traditional Portuguese song, and it's really amazing. There's some really beautiful recordings. My neighbor actually here, right beside me, is Portuguese.
Oh, okay. So he gave you some tips on fado.
Yeah, well, one day I was listening. He was playing music in his garden, and I was like, "Wow, this is really great stuff." He's like, "Well, if you don't know fado, you gotta start there. Like, get into that." Because I love traditional music. I really love real, you know, musicians playing together and singing together, and I was like, "Okay, now this is my style." So I got into that a bit. It was really cool. But yeah, no, he's an amazing guy. Amazing guy.
Just out of curiosity, what was the artist that he was listening to?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to remember exactly where he sent me, and I can't remember. Exactly. It was like last month, and I looked at a bunch of different collections, and Maritza.
Marisa's, yes, yeah. She is the most international fado singer now.
Oh, well, that's why. I probably went home and looked up, who do I need to listen to? She's amazing.
Yeah. She's great.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so I was listening to that. You know, it's cool, man. It's really neat I like music from all over the place. I've always wanted to go to Portugal, actually. I've been to Spain. I've been throughout Europe. But I've never been to Portugal, not yet.
You have to. When all this is gone, you have to come here.
So where are you? Are you in Lisbon?
I am in Lisbon, yeah, right now. I'm from Oporto, but my parents moved here when I was just 2 or 3 years old. So now I'm in Lisbon for more than 20 years, and it's a beautiful city. You have to visit. Nice. And you were saying that you love traditional music. I mean, the real music. And what I think it's amazing is that we are living in a time that every person can make music in such many possible ways. But why the traditional way, despite seeming that everything has been invented, why the traditional way keeps constantly you and other artists to create some new songs and new sounds?
I mean, I think that I really like pop music. I really like modern music too. Yeah. I listen to a lot of it. I make it, you know. Yeah. But I always come back to playing in the same room as other people at the same time. Music as a fundamental human conversation. I'm very interested in that. I started when I was young. I played in school bands. You know, when I was 11, I played trumpet. I still play trumpet. And so I always like being in a group of people and playing together. And I find that there's just something really magical about that. That's very different when you're interacting with a computer. Yeah. Computers can do amazing things, but I love the reaction. I love the interaction between musicians. I like playing musicians I've never played with. I like playing with musicians I've played with for years. I think that for me, that's what's really interesting with it, is that it is organic. It's me plucking an instrument, a piece of wood with strings. Someone else is doing their thing. It has required, you know, a really long commitment to an instrument to learn it. Yeah. I think traditional music is interesting because it is so discipline oriented. No one generally, especially when it comes to really traditional stuff, very few people get famous from it. They do it because they really like it. They really enjoy it. I don't play traditional music per se, but I play I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's lots of Cape Breton fiddlers playing Irish music and Scottish music and Cape Breton music, particular to Cape Breton. They're amazing. They grew up with their families playing. They have a different relationship to music. You know, it's music that's just part of their lives. They would do it whether they were making money on it or not.
Yeah.
They would make it at home. That's refreshing to me. It's kind of like the current. It's like the undercurrent of all of this is that at the end of the day, there's the music industry, and then there's music, and they're both. I don't have a problem, but they're separate. Not everybody who plays music is part of the music industry, and anybody who plays music just to be part of this, it's not necessarily the same. You need to be able to exist over here in its own. I kind of like one thing about this era of Instagram and stuff is that you get to see people who are extraordinarily good at their instruments just play. Production's gone, basically. You know, I mean, now we're figuring out how to do it and how to produce it, but you know, I can watch a great trumpet player. I can watch a great guitar player. I can watch Gaetano Veloso sitting at home on his couch playing a classical guitar with, you know, this young clarinetist he just made the record with. You know, like, that's crazy. That's amazing. That's what I would have dreamed of as a kid, right? Like as a kid, when I was obsessing over this music, you want that access. I always like to see the concerts and you hear the records, but now all of a sudden I can see him just like playing guitar, singing with his kids. And you're like, this is amazing. And you can also see that they're really good. You know, it's not just that they had big songs or that they were dynamic personalities or could put on it was a big, all like smoke and mirrors. It was that most people, you know, even big pop stars now, like Charlie Puth or whatever, who has all these big hits, he can play piano. Like, you listen to that guy play and sing, and it's like, that's pretty undeniable.
Yeah.
So for me, it comes down to like that like power of hearing someone play an instrument and sing, nothing else. Turn on a microphone. I always go back to Ray Charles. Like, if Ray Charles walked into any bar in the world, anywhere, and played piano and sang, the place would go quiet. He'd shut it all down because his talent was so exceptional. And it's rare, but when you see that, it's awesome. And it happens in all languages and all over the world. Yeah. So I love that.
It's like the simplest way of making magic happen, right?
It's like magic. Yeah, exactly. And people don't, and it moves people. Yeah. Moves people beyond, like, it moves them to tears and to being speechless and to getting excited and all of these different things. It's very cool.
And one of the things of this modern era is because you can hear so many different music from all around the world, you can have some knowledge about any genres and styles, and in your work you like to cross genres, and you're making pop and then you're making jazz and you make I don't know, you know that more than I. And do you think that ability to come from one genre to another is like an essential thing for any musician today?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if it's essential. For me, I think it's probably, it ended up just being that, first of all, I guess I think firstly, I'm probably a music listener. I'm like a music collector. I'm an appreciator of music first, and then a player of music. I'm not a virtuoso. Yeah. I'm not a virtuoso. If I was a virtuoso, then I think in some ways that is very special, and it requires a certain specialization and focus on the craft of doing a certain thing. Whereas it might be because it's a bit of the expression we have which is jack of all trades, master of none. It means you're good at you're kind of good at a bunch of things. I'm not actually amazing at one. So it's probably just out of necessity that I've just done a bunch of different things. But I think that also it is a modern way of approaching music. I mean, the world is open, as you said. I can listen to music from one day. I go from listening to fado music to listening to Justin Bieber within 10 minutes, a lot, and then I go to African guitar music, West African guitar music, to Brazilian jazz from the 50s, to that's how we live. That's how we consume music. I know very few people who just listen to one style. Yeah. And so for me, I think it's just been that I've let my instincts based on what I'm listening to and my interest guide my creative output.
Yeah.
I try not to step in too much to it. If I'm feeling something and I'm moved by a certain sound or rhythm, I'll go there. I'll ask the question later if I can pull it off, but I'll go there because I'm learning as I go. And I work with other people. I work with people who often are more specialized than me. I'm kind of a generalist, and then I can work with a specialist, like a hip hop person, or I can work with Al, who plays in my band. It's a bluegrass guitar. I'm not a bluegrass guitar player nor a hip hop, but I know enough about both genres. I love melody. I love lyrics. I love song form, that I think I can kind of go, okay, yeah, this works here. This doesn't work there. Mostly just because I've been listening to records so much. But I think it's modern. I think it just is a fact of, I think now lots of people work like that. They're listening to stuff all the time.
Yeah, of course, it's the new way of listening music that this globalization can provide us. But don't you think, I don't know, for my generation, and sometimes I talk with some musicians from Portugal about this, I think that the notion of listening to an album from beginning to end, I don't know, I can't say it's disappearing, but I think it's being a little less, its importance is a little less than in other occasions, because you can jump from one song to another of many artists. I don't know what you think about it, but my experience listening to your album, and before that I listened to some of the songs on YouTube, and when I listened the songs in the album, the experience was completely different.
Yeah, it was it's very interesting, because it's basically, nowadays, especially as you said, the market is basically singles. It's single songs.
Yeah.
But we made a record. For me, it was about, I appreciate singles. I love singles. I mean, I love music from the 30s and 40s and 50s, and it was all singles back then. They didn't really make records either, right? Like people put out singles until the 60s. It was a record format. Before that, they would go in studio, make one song, and it puts a lot of pressure on the song, and you can create some really great things. For me, I was interested in exploring a mood. I wanted the songs to be very, very strong, but I was more interested in creating a mood for 35, 40 minutes. I was very curious and very interested in trying to create a mood. And to do that, to me, required more than one song. There were songs that represented that mood. But interestingly enough, they don't necessarily mean that they're the singles, right? Like the Leave Tonight is representative of the mood of the record, kind of like it is less the mood of the record, but it's clearly a single because it's upbeat.
Yeah.
So you kind of we were lucky in that we had these upbeat moments, but it became a conversation when we tried to put it in order, because there was one side that kind of said, okay, well, these are the singles, you should put them at the front. And we were kind of going, well, yeah, but then if you are listening to the record, it's not the same experience.
Yeah.
And the purpose was 35 minutes for me of vibe. I wanted it to get upbeat, but I wanted it to get upbeat later. I wanted it to be predominantly relaxing. I wanted it to be predominantly mellow. It's easy enough to do there's fast music everywhere. I wanted to see if we couldn't create something really beautiful and sophisticated and chill, and then have the upbeat stuff. As you need momentum. I love playing upbeat stuff, but no, don't make that the focus of it. And so it is hard. It is hard because the consumption of music is single driven. But I also think that people are hopefully. I think you kind of. Ideally, you have songs that suit that world that can still go into the singles world.
Yeah.
But ultimately, your fans and the people who are really drawn to what you do will put it on at the beginning and listen to it. And that's the goal. You just kind of hope. I'll make singles again, but this one was definitely an album.
Yeah, and it looks like that, and the experience of the album it's quite different. And you mentioned I kind of like it, and I read an interview that you said that this song was kind of inspired by Grateful Dead. Is that right?
Yeah. I love the Grateful Dead. I don't know if you like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. I like it. I like them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's weird because it doesn't necessarily sound exactly like the Grateful Dead. It sounds more like Mark Knopfler and J.J. Cale. Like J.J. Cale is really probably the main influence sonically. But there was this. It was this. When I was writing it, I was thinking of the Grateful Dead. I was thinking of the spirit of the Grateful Dead, which was, to me, is this fun, the joy of playing playing music. But American music. They draw on all sorts of American music loosely. Sometimes it's traditional folk music, sometimes it's blues, sometimes it's jet, whatever. But they're playing together and they're having a good time and it's loose and the songs are built to have fun with. Yeah. They're built as like a vessel for interaction and for the musician, for that what we were talking about before. Like, I love playing with people. Sometimes it's nice to write songs that, when you're in a group of people, you can start into the groove and everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, okay, let's do this. And then extended solos and all that kind of stuff. I mean, again, it's like, I want to be able to write music that is, I also don't want everything to be dead serious. I don't want it to be so like, I'm sophisticated. It needs to be, oh, that's not who I am. I want to rock. Like, I want to have a good time and I want to be loose. And that's kind of the Grateful Dead part of it to me, was like, oh no, this is like us having a great time playing in the studio, Al rocking some great guitar stuff. Everybody's playing. And then the bass parts are really kind of like Phil Esch, the bass player in the Grateful Dead. He plays a lot up the neck. He like plays a lot of melodic parts. There's a similarity in kind of what we asked Kyle to do when he's playing bass. Was like, loose, don't just go dum, try to like move around just like, and he really got into it. And then when you get all those moving parts, it starts to get that feel like no one's really constrained by the music. They're able to kind of be part of it. And so that's to me, that's how it feels.
And it's quite the beat. It doesn't come out of my head. It's always.
I love how that one came out.
And because of the times that we are living now, I was thinking about the fact that you, like many musicians, I suppose your main resource of money, of profit, is on touring and in concerts. And how are you feeling about the future of touring in the post coronavirus world?
I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to know what it's going to look like, when it's going to happen. I mean, I think, I don't know. There's days when I'm like, it's going to be years. And then there's other days where I'm like, maybe not. Maybe if travel is a little bit limited. Yeah. I think that going back to what we were doing, it's going to be a little while. I do think that, the idea of like flying to shows and this, I'm not sure that's going to happen for a little while. And, I think it's really important I think it was great. There's certain things that I think when they do change, it might be okay, which was, everybody moving around all the time, flying for one show, flying home for one. Is that really the most efficient way to spend our resources? Maybe not. That's just me. I'm going to be ready. My priority now is like more when it does come back. I want to be good. I want to be like ready. I want to be excited about it. I want to be capable. Like, I want to be singing well, playing well. I'm excited about it. I think it will come back. Of course, it will come back. Yeah. But it's one of those things that if we just wait for it to come back as it was, that's going to be a long time. We just have to be really creative. We have to be super creative and patient and realize that it is going to be a new normal. Yeah. But we got to remember that we're artists, we're creative, and it's our job to communicate with audiences, and you find ways to do that. It doesn't need to stop. You don't need to be like, until I'm touring again, I'm not doing anything. Well, the world changed, and so Are you still an artist? Yeah, I'm still an artist. I still want to communicate with my fans. So I will do that until it goes back to that. But I think the main thing for me is just, I mean, I'm busy. I'm busy as heck. I got 2 kids. I'm staying home with them full time. And so I'm really quite happy to be home right now because I know I need to be. And I'm enjoying my time with them a lot. But it will be interesting to see what it looks like. It's going to be, I mean, look, they're talking about like social distance concerts. It's going to be strange for a while. And I do think that we're going to be one of the last industries to come back.
I believe so.
To come back to what it was.
Yeah, because even though people want to hear live music, and I think anyone now wants to hear good music on the live stage, it's like the problem of many people in the same space and the paranoia, and it's going to take quite a long time to surpass that.
That's right. And I mean, I think that's where I think the patience comes in. I don't want to be the one. I'm not forcing that. I want everybody to be comfortable when they're at the show. I don't want people to be there unless they're comfortable, unless I know they're safe, unless I know I'm safe. You know what I'm saying? I just want, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. I'm glad that everybody's doing okay in the band and in my operation, and we're patiently, my thing now is like, I got a while. I can be quite creative. I can maybe even make more fans during this period of time by being very creative. I'd like to come out of this, and when we do start touring, have more people, not less. That's it. More people in the seats. If I can go out and do better shows when this is done, I'm happy because it's given me a chance to be home with them. But I'm also working really hard to make sure that that's the case. That when we do go out, there's more people who know what I do and more people excited about seeing the show.
And I think that one of the things that you are doing to boost your creativity and your audience is that upcoming podcast you're going to release someday, right? About I think it's about stories of musicians. Can you explain about something about?
Well, it's changed. It's funny because it's changed because originally it was conversations, very specific conversations for a podcast in my studio where I'm sitting now. Yeah. With the person, not like this, but like actually with them, just because we were talking more about the kind of more the spiritual, emotional side of being a musician. That was really, I wanted to talk about that because when I'm talking with my musician friends, that's what we talk about. How do you maintain your enthusiasm for creativity and for the career and this kind of the energy that it's required to pursue it, given the ups and downs. And that's what I was interested in. And I think that we will eventually do that. But I think that we're now moving into a different direction because of the distance thing. And I've been getting into YouTube Live, actually. Doing YouTube Live. I did my listening party, and we're actually going to announce by the end of this week, I'm going to start a talk show. And we'll probably talk a bit about the same things. I like talking about that stuff. To me, it's the stuff I really like talking about that stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna do it like a not so late night talk show. It's called Miles from Home. Same name. Yeah. And I'll have a guest each week. I'll start by singing a song, and then we'll talk, and it will be like this over Skype, but it will be live on YouTube. So, and I think June 4th is our first broadcast.
Okay, that's really a great idea. I hope it's a success.
Oh, thank you.
And what is for you, because you said that the idea of the podcast was to know what makes the other musicians keeping interested and creative, and what is the main thing for you that after all these years and after all the ups and downs made you continue and not ever give up?
Well, I've thought about it. I think that's the thing. I think anybody goes through those times, and it can be a number of factors. Sometimes it's just that you're working too much. I think that a lot of it is balance. It sounds ridiculous, but you need to be really aware of how you want your career to look. It's so important not to compare careers. Every career is really different. It's so easy for me to look at another musician and be like, well, they're way bigger than me. I wish I could have that. Well, they might not have 2 kids at home that are young. They might not have, they might not have the same, maybe they don't get it as tired as, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe they love to, I don't know. I have no idea. We don't know what other people require. You need to be aware of what you need as a person and what you want your career to look like, not compared to other people. And then you need to like hone in on that. But that requires discipline, because it means saying no. It means saying no to other people that think that you should be doing certain things. And you need to be able to go, you know what? I need this time at home right now, or I need this time to write. If I'm not writing on the road. So if I'm on the road all the time, I'm not going to have something ready. I need creative time. So for me, it's more like it's blocking off those, being more deliberate about my time.
Yeah.
My time. Being, again, like choosing this idea that like out all the time on the road, this is kind of where it was before, right? Because it's our main source of income, the default was like, well, you need to be out all the time for everybody to make money, for the whole thing to work. Well, but maybe for some people, but maybe not. If people are like dying young, are burning out of their careers in 10 years, have records that kind of like get worse,
yeah,
then what are we doing, right? Like, maybe that isn't the answer. Maybe it's to be careful that when you choose wisely, be excited about your tour, go out, kick ass, come back, write good songs, take care of yourself. I mean, I think the big thing is like, how do you make it look long term too, right? Like, are you going to be able to do that for 40 years? And some people can. But I think for me, it was more like, well, I don't know if I'm really interested in being with my family. So I need to make sure that I don't tour all the time, because it's not going to serve my songs. It's not going to serve my family. It's not going to serve my health. And in turn won't actually serve my business or the audience. Those are harder things to understand. At first you think, well, I got to be out there for the business and for the audience. Well, if you're declining, that's not serving anybody. So it's I think it's about taking the wheel, being really careful about what you want.
Yeah, and I think you said it in one word. It's perfect balance. You said it all. But I was remembering the lyrics of Peace of Mind when you said, because I've been losing my way, been listening too much to what other people say. And that thing, it's also a part of that search for balance, right? Because you cannot keep listening to all what the other people said all the time. If you do that, you go mad.
You'll just go mad. Yeah, and we know it. We know it from an artistic perspective, but we sometimes forget it when it comes to our business and when it comes to our life, And so I think that's really important. Really important.
You're going. I'm not going to call you an old man, but next year you're going to reach your 40th year of life. How are you feeling about that, and how are you looking to your career in retrospect of what you have been doing so far and what's going to come out after?
Yeah, first of all, I think that it's a weird thing that starts to happen. Maybe it's because of this COVID thing too. I really do think there's like going to be like a pre-COVID, post-COVID kind of thing, right? Like, yeah. And there is this weird like marker in history now for us. But it allows us to look back. It allows us to take a breath and go, I have been doing this for actually a long time. Like, it feels like I'm just new. It feels like I'm just starting in some ways. I'm fresh. Like, it doesn't feel like I've always thought of myself, but then at the same time I look at it and I'm like, well, actually it's quite a bit of time. I have been doing this for 15 years. I actually have quite a few records out. Yeah. That's cool. Like, the other thing is, I think I feel really good about it because I've been joking about this a lot. I think I was always meant to be an older person. I think I'm going to be better at being like 45 than I was at being 20. Like, you're
going to be really young now.
Yeah, like it's like I'm better at this age. I'm better. I'm just like, it suits me more. My interests are more in line. And when I was 20, I was an oddball because I didn't like I don't know, I just wasn't like most 20-year-olds. At least I felt that way. I felt quite eccentric, you know what I mean? Whereas as I get older, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, no, it's because I had old tastes when I was young.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm the youngest in my family.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest in my family. So I've always kind of like thought, not that I'm mature, and my interests are just like a little older. So I'm actually thinking that these next 10 years are going to be awesome. I'm pretty pumped about it. I love, like, again, like I look at artists for inspiration that are like Caetano Veloso, I like, that are in their 60s and their 70s and 80s, like Willie Nelson and Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett's like 90, right? Like, it's crazy. But like Nick Lowe in his 60s, great artists, great. Ry Cooder, Bill Frisell. They're my Bonnie Raitt.
They are constantly reinventing themselves,
and they're engaged in it. That's all you can ask. That's all you can ask, is that you still are engaged with it. You can't guarantee that you're going to make a lot of money. Doesn't matter who you are. There's always, if you can live lean and stay creative and stay engaged in it. And I've had times where I felt like I didn't know if I'd be able to, but I think that's the ultimate challenge is as an artist, is to remain excited and remain engaged. And we can tell as an audience when an artist has lost engagement.
Yeah.
Right. But that to me is more like, that's where you want to go. So the stuff behind is great because you've been building an audience, but ultimately it's about just like, I'm always trying to, like, as soon as I finish one project, I'm on to the next one, because I think it's really important to just move forward. You know, you can look back. I listen to my old records a lot. I listen to them and I go, well, I would have done this different. My kids hate listening to my records with me because I'm like, oh, I wish I did that. And they're like, they even tell me, they're like, I hate listening to your records with you because you're critical. But for me, it's about moving forward. It's like, okay, well, that's cool. That works. Okay, maybe it's just because I'm trying to improve.
And do you think that your kids are like you they have those old tastes too?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I think so. Again, like at the same time, they love Shawn Mendes. Like, they love, and I want to pump it. Like, I'm totally into Shawn. Like, we play all that stuff. But it's also just the nature of our house, and that we kind of like, I listen to lots of older music, and I suspect that's, their pace is a little different. You know what I mean? We try to keep it pretty, like, not too wild, not too much stimulation around the house, just because they're great. They're amazing kids.
So I think this is it. Thank you very much, David. It was a pleasant conversation. Sorry for my terrible English.
You're great, man. Your English is amazing, dude. I do a lot of interviews in another language. I do lots of interviews in French, and man, it's not easy. Your English is perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.